If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever felt like someone's words or actions completely ruined your day? Maybe it was a rude comment, a thoughtless gesture, or just a random inconvenience you didn't expect. It's frustrating, but here's the deeper truth. No one has the power to control your emotions, unless you give it to them. Now imagine walking through life with a kind of inner calm so grounded that even the most annoying moments can't rattle you. That's not fantasy. That's emotional mastery. And in this episode, we're exploring 10 timeless lessons rooted in Stoicism and backed by modern psychology to help you stay composed, clear-headed, and unbothered, no matter what life throws your way. These lessons aren't about pretending not to care. They're about becoming strong enough to care without losing yourself in the process. Whether it's criticism, conflict, stress, or someone else's chaos, these are tools to help you stay calm, keep perspective, and reclaim control over your inner state. So if you're ready to unlock the power of emotional sovereignty, let's begin. Your journey to staying calm in a chaotic world starts right here. Imagine this. You're enjoying a peaceful moment, sipping your coffee, walking through the park, when suddenly someone says something rude or careless. That calm evaporates, frustration rises, and you think, why did they ruin my day? But here's the truth, they didn't ruin your day. You did, by handing over control of your emotions. No one can make you feel anything without your permission. Your reactions, your responsibility. Think of your emotional space like wearing noise-canceling headphones in a noisy city. The noise is still out there. Honking cars, shouting voices, but it doesn't reach you. Mastering your emotional reactions works the same way. You can't control the world, but you can choose what gets through. As Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Let's bring that to life. Your coworker interrupts or dismisses your idea in a meeting. Your instinct might be to shut down or snap. But if you pause, breathe, and ask, is this about me, or is it their stress or ego talking? You reclaim your power. This isn't about bottling up your feelings. It's about realizing that your emotions and your actions are not the same thing. You can feel anger without lashing out, feel hurt without shutting down. That space between feeling and reacting, that's your strength. Here's a simple way to practice it. First, pause and name the emotion. I feel irritated. I feel disrespected. Naming it breaks the automatic chain reaction. Next, ask what's really driving that feeling. Is it the event itself or your interpretation of it? Finally, choose your response. Not based on what feels good in the moment, but what protects your peace in the long run. When you stop reacting on autopilot, the rude stranger, the thoughtless comment, the unexpected delay, all of it loses its grip. Because you're no longer giving your power away. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, remember, their behavior doesn't define you. Your response does. Have you ever felt let down because someone didn't show up for you the way you would have shown up for them? Maybe it was a friend who didn't return your call, a partner who didn't offer support, or a coworker who failed to acknowledge your effort. The thought hits you, I would never do that to them. But here's the truth. People don't operate by your values. They live by their own. Expecting others to think, act, or care the way you do is like trying to control the weather. Frustrating, impossible, and a guaranteed path to disappointment. Each person is shaped by different experiences, beliefs, and priorities. When someone's actions hurt or annoy you, it's rarely personal. It's often just them being who they are. And trying to change that only leaves you drained. Instead of focusing on how people should behave, try accepting them as they are. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. For example, maybe a coworker constantly interrupts during meetings. Instead of getting worked up or trying to fix them, remind yourself, this isn't about me. That small shift frees you from emotional turbulence. There's an old saying, expectations are the root of all suffering. The more you expect people to mirror your standards, the more you set yourself up for stress. But when you release those expectations, you reclaim your peace. Here's a simple way to practice it. First, notice the expectation behind your frustration. What were you hoping they'd do? Next, ask yourself if that expectation is realistic. Finally, shift your focus. You can't control their behavior, but you can choose how you respond to it. Imagine how freeing it would be to move through the world without taking every inconsiderate act personally, to realize that people aren't falling short of your standards. They're just living from their own. And that's okay. Because your emotional well-being doesn't depend on them changing. It depends on you choosing to respond with clarity instead of frustration. Let go of who you think people should be. Accept who they are. And watch your peace return. Think about the last time you got into an argument. Maybe it started over something small, a different opinion, a miscommunication, or a disagreement with someone close. As the tension rose, did you feel that urge to prove your point, to win, to be right? We've all felt it. That tight grip on our version of the truth, as if letting go would somehow diminish us. But here's a deeper truth. The need to always be right is not a sign of strength. It's a weight. One that drains your energy, stirs conflict, and often leads nowhere. Many times, the urge to prove ourselves comes from fear. Fear of being seen as less than, of not being respected, or of losing control. But peace doesn't live in the outcome of the argument. It lives in your ability to rise above it. So ask yourself, would I rather be right, or would I rather be at peace? That doesn't mean you stop standing up for what matters. It means you choose when it's worth engaging. Imagine someone accuses you of something unfair. Instead of launching into defense mode, you pause. You breathe. You ask, will this change anything that truly matters? If not, then maybe it's not worth your peace. Let's say a friend insists their way is better. Instead of arguing, you say, I respect your perspective. Just like that, the tension softens. You didn't give in, you stepped out. And that choice often holds more strength than any rebuttal. Taoist wisdom puts it simply, he who is attached to his views will never grow. Growth doesn't come from proving others wrong. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the work. So here's how to shift. First, pause before responding. That moment of stillness is where your power lives. Then seek understanding. Ask a question instead of making a counterpoint. And finally, pick your battles. Some things truly matter. Most don't. You'll be amazed how light you feel when you let go of the pressure to convince, correct, or defend. Arguments lose their grip. Your inner world stays calm. And remember, being right might win the moment, but choosing peace wins your life. Imagine sharing something you're proud of, a creative idea, a new outfit, a personal story, only to be met with indifference or subtle judgment. That sting you feel? It's not just the words, it's the weight we often place on the opinions of others. But here's a powerful truth. Your worth isn't up for debate. It's not measured by how others respond to you, whether with praise or criticism. It's intrinsic, untouched, unshaken. Still, many of us fall into the trap of chasing approval, seeking reassurance that we're doing okay. It's human, but it's also draining. Relying on others to validate your choices, your voice, or your value is like chasing shadows. The more you reach, the more it slips away. Think of it this way. Everyone views the world through a different lens, shaped by their experiences, insecurities, and beliefs. Their judgment of you often reflects more about them than it does about you. When you absorb their opinions, you give away your peace. You let someone else steer your emotional compass. So how do you stop doing that? Start by questioning the importance. When someone's opinion bothers you, ask, why does this matter so much to me? What authority do they really have over my life? Then, return to your own values. What do you stand for? What feels true to you? Anchor yourself there. And when criticism comes, as it always does, imagine their words like leaves floating down a stream. You notice them, but you don't have to hold on. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Harsh? Maybe. But it's also liberating. It means you're no longer shaping your life around being understood. You're shaping it around being real. So the next time someone questions your path, your choices, or your style, pause. Ask yourself, am I living for their approval or for my own truth? Because once you stop giving weight to passing opinions, you rise, you grow, and you reclaim the space to be exactly who you are without apology. Picture this. You're in a heated moment. Someone says something cruel, petty, or intentionally provocative. You feel your chest tighten, your pulse quickens. Your instinct is to clap back, to defend yourself, to strike where it hurts. But what if, instead, you simply said nothing? Silence isn't weakness. It's discipline. It's the art of choosing peace over provocation. In a world that constantly pushes for reaction, silence is a rebellion, a quiet act of power. Responding with silence doesn't mean you're avoiding the issue. It means you're choosing not to pour fuel on the fire. Because here's the truth. Not every remark deserves a response. Not every conflict needs to be won, and not every provocation is worth your peace. Imagine someone undermines you in front of others, maybe in a meeting or a casual conversation. You could meet them word for word, ego for ego. Or you could pause, let the silence speak for you. Let your calm presence say what your words don't need to. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The best answer to anger is silence. Anger needs a target. Silence removes it. Silence starves drama of the attention it feeds on. Think of it like this. Silence is a shield. It doesn't ignore the noise. It simply chooses not to echo it. And that choice, it keeps you in control. So how do you practice it? When the urge to react rises, take a breath. Let it sit. Ask yourself, will speaking right now bring clarity or just more chaos? Often, the wisest thing you can say is nothing at all. And when you do speak, speak only if it improves upon the silence. Because words said in anger are rarely remembered for their wisdom. But silence? Silence is remembered for its strength. The next time someone tries to bait you into an argument, pause. Choose the stillness. Let them wrestle with their own noise while you remain centered in yours. That's not backing down, that's rising above. Imagine one of those days where everything feels off. Plans fall apart, someone cuts you off in traffic, and the tiniest inconvenience feels like the final straw. Frustration builds. You clench your jaw. You want to snap. But here's the shift. What if, in that exact moment, you paused and looked for something to be grateful for? It sounds simple, maybe even naive, but it's not. Gratitude isn't fluff. It's a proven way to shift your nervous system out of fight or flight and into a calmer, more grounded state. Because here's the truth. You can't feel angry and grateful at the same time. One always overrides the other. Gratitude works like a mental reset button. It pulls you out of the spiral, away from what's missing or irritating, and into what's steady, what's still good, even now. Take a small example. You're running late, stuck in traffic. Instead of stewing in frustration, pause and notice. You're in a car. You have somewhere to be. You have time to listen to music or a podcast or to simply breathe. The moment hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. Cicero once said, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others." It builds resilience. It softens reactivity. It reminds you that even in chaos, something is still working. So how do you start? When irritation rises, pause and ask, what's one thing I can be thankful for right now? Big or small, it doesn't matter. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Let that awareness interrupt the spiral. Try keeping a gratitude journal. 3 things at the end of each day. It might feel silly at first, but over time, it rewires your perception. You begin to search for the good automatically. Even on the hard days, gratitude doesn't ignore reality. It reframes it. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about seeing what's still meaningful, even in the imperfect. So the next time you feel anger creeping in, stop and ask yourself, what can I appreciate in this moment? That one question can change your entire emotional direction. It won't always be easy, but it will always be powerful. Because peace isn't something you stumble into. It's something you create, one grateful moment at a time. Imagine sharing an idea you're proud of, maybe at work, in a conversation, or online, and someone immediately shoots it down. Their words sting. Your first instinct is to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, to protect your ego. It's natural. But here's a mindset shift. What if you saw criticism not as an attack, but as a mirror? Criticism, even when poorly delivered, often contains something useful. A blind spot, a challenge, a nudge to grow. When you reframe it, it stops being personal and starts becoming practical. Think of it this way. Feedback is data. Not all of it is true. Not all of it is kind, but all of it can teach you something if you're willing to look beyond the sting. That's the difference between staying reactive and becoming resilient. Imagine you're preparing a presentation. A colleague says your ideas seem scattered. You could bristle and write them off. Or you could pause and ask, is there a point I missed? Could their perception highlight a way to improve? That doesn't mean every critique is valid. Some criticism comes from insecurity, envy, or misunderstanding. But even then, the way you respond reveals your strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone speaks ill of you, ask whether what they said is true. If it is, change. If it isn't, don't be upset. Instead of defending your worth, focus on sharpening your skills. Let their words refine you, not define you. There's wisdom in restraint, the ability to listen without internalizing, to reflect without reacting. Here's a simple way to handle criticism with clarity. First, pause. Don't react instantly. Let the emotions settle. Second, evaluate the source. Is this someone who knows what they're talking about? Do they have your best interests in mind? Third, extract the lesson. Ask, what can I take from this to grow, improve, or understand differently? Even if their delivery was harsh, your power lies in what you do with it. Remember this, criticism doesn't lower your value. If anything, your ability to rise above it raises your strength. When you stop fearing judgment and start using it, you become untouchable. Not because you're perfect, but because you're always evolving. Imagine holding a hot coal, waiting to throw it at someone who hurt you. But while you wait for the right moment, the coal keeps burning your hand. That's what anger and resentment do. They don't punish the other person, they punish you. The real power lies not in holding on, but in knowing when to release. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or excusing what happened. It means choosing peace over pain. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of the past so you can focus on the present, where your power lives. Think of a time you were wronged. Maybe someone betrayed your trust, criticized you unfairly, or took something from you. How many hours did you spend replaying that moment, rewriting the scene in your head, rehearsing comebacks you never said? All that energy wasted on something that's already behind you. Now imagine what would happen if you let it go. Not because they deserved forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. You reclaim your focus, your time, your emotional clarity. Marcus Aurelius said, do not be disturbed by what is outside your control. Let it go and you will find peace. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being wise. It means recognizing that not everything or everyone is worth your inner stability. Here's a way to begin practicing the art of letting go. First, acknowledge the emotion. Feel the anger, the sadness, the disappointment, without judgment. Suppressing it only gives it more control. Second, reframe the story. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? What strength did I gain from this pain? Third, bring your attention back to the present. The moment you're in now is the only place you can act, grow, and heal. That's where your power is. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It means choosing to stop carrying what weighs you down. Because when you release what no longer serves you, you create space for what will. Picture it like releasing a balloon. At first, it's hard to loosen your grip, but once it's gone, you feel lighter, freer, more yourself. And when you finally let go of the anger, the grudge, the illusion of control, you realize you haven't lost anything. You've simply made room for something better. Peace.